So today I'm going to go over technically the second assignment, and this one is in the book. You can actually just follow the book, is fine, or do the way I do it in the tutorial, which is I think will be for the most part identical. I'm going to start a new, double click on part. Wait for it to launch. Pretty sure it was launched. Let me try that again. Double click on part. And then the part file opens up. And again, as in the first lesson, I like to explain this as we're in basically three modes. We're in graphics mode, we're in sketch mode, or feature mode. And right now you can see up in this right hand corner I don't have an icon. I'm going to make sure for this one I'm in inch pound second. And I'm going to always, the way I do it and the way I teach how to do it is always start with a sketch. And when I select sketch from the sketch tab, the property manager opens up and it asks me select a plane. The orientation and the origin do not matter on this assignment. So I'm going to select the front. Doesn't really matter. I believe the book shows the front. I'm going to select line function in sketch. And let's look at this line function a little better. It shows a little pencil for my mouse. And if I have any entities on the screen, I can click on them and it gives me indicators. One of the indicators is called, I forgot the name of this line. It shows these inference lines. Some are yellow, some are blue. So I'm not going to start on the origin. You can start on the origin if you want, but I'm going to start outside the origin, like right here. Click one point with my left mouse click, left mouse click, left mouse click, and if you can see the yellow inference lines are showing, those are perpendicular and parallel to your normal view. And you can see as I move my mouse, I am making this line, and if I left mouse click, I will make the endpoint of this line. But if I snap to the yellow inference line, you can see the yellow box next to the pencil is a sketch relation showing that as a vertical line. So I'm going to make these all vertical and horizontal. If I accidentally get to one and make one that does not have a sketch relation as horizontal or vertical, I can actually go back in and you can see this with this end line here. I have an end line to my origin, and or an inference line to my origin, or an inference line to my bottom edge, and that's the one I want. And you can see on my pencil mouse, it shows this endpoint is going to be vertical. It's going to be an endpoint for the vertical line, and it will be parallel to this endpoint of this horizontal line. Once I do that and I create a closed contour, it will show you shaded like this. But I'm going to press escape. It kicks me out of the line function. And you can see I've got a horizontal or a vertical sketch relation on every entity except for this entity. And I can grab this endpoint and move this side to side and change the angle. The other lines I cannot do that. The angle will not change. They'll move, but the angle will not change. So I'm going to select this line and I'm going to make this vertical. Now from here, it's highly suggested you dimension the overall dimensions first. And I actually don't have the drawing in front of me. I believe this is 6 inches. No, I'm going to put 6.5. I believe this one is 4.5. It's very helpful to actually dimension when you do your first base sketch. dimension the outside dimensions first. That's going to help this thing from not folding over itself. I'm going to dimension one line here as 1/2 inch. I'm not going to dimension these 3 lines, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to escape the dimension tool. I'm going to select this line. I'm going to hold Control down, and with my left mouse I'm going to select these 4 top lines, and they are populated here in the Property Manager. You can see this one's dimensioned at 1/2 inch. If I go down here, I can add a relation of equal in size. And it makes all 4 of these lines. It adds the relation. You can see the little green sketch relation here of equal in length based on this dimension. Now, I'm going to do the same thing for these 3 lines, but I'm not going to dimension this. I'm going to select these 3 lines, and I'm going to make them equal in length. Oh, it folded over itself, but I think I can fix that. No, I can't. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back, figure out what the heck I did wrong here. I'm going to go back and I'm going to go Control Z, Control C. I got to escape out of there. Control Z. Doesn't undo. And I think what it did is because of this line length here, it made it large based on that. So let's try again. I shorten them a little bit. I'm going to select these 3 lines, select 1, 2, 3, and make them equal in length. So now all these 3 bottom lines are equal in length. These 4 top lines are 1/2 inch in length because they're equal and this is dimensioned. So if I add this up, 1/2 inch plus 1/2 inch plus 1/2 inch plus 1/2 inch, this would be 2 inches. That means that these 3 lines equal in length would add up to 4.5 inches. If I go and I try and dimension this line, it will tell me that I am over defining this drawing. And it asks me to do I want to make it a driven dimension? I'm going to say cancel, because we already know this line length based on 6.5 minus 1/2 inch minus 1/2 inch minus 1/2 inch minus 1/2 inch, and whatever's left over divided equally by 3 gives us 1.5 inches evenly for these 3 line lengths. I'm going to add another sketch relation. Actually, I'll add the dimension first. From the bottom of this edge to the bottom of this line, this is going to be 1/2 inch off the drawing. I'm going to make this line length. I'm going to select this line. I'm going to hold Control down, select this line and this line, just as I did when I made these 3 lines equal. And I'm going to make these collinear. So now this value, this dimensional value, applies to this line and this line because they're collinear. These are all horizontal lines dimensioned off of another horizontal line and making them all 1/2 inch. The other dimensions I need to add here are, I did the overall length. I'm going to do one here to here. This is 3.5. From this line to the bottom edge is 2.5. One of the errors students make on this is they'll dimension from the top of this edge to the bottom here, and that's incorrect. It actually is dimension off this last edge, or this bottom line. I'm going to dimension from here to here. This is 1.5, and I think that's all we will need. Now, it shows here under defined. It shows a minus sign in the sketch. Obviously, I'm still in the sketch here because this icon is showing. If I move this around, it will move complete. And if you notice, all of these sketch entities are blue, indicating all of these entities are underdefined. If I take and select this edge, hold Control down and select my origin, and make these coincident, and say yes, you can see some of the lines turned. Let's see if I can move that dimension out. I'm not sure what's going on with this. Why is that? It shows this hidden line here, and I'm not sure what that's from. If that was from the collinear relation, or but I didn't like it there. You can see some of the sketch entities are black, so these are fully defined. The other one, if you see a blue entity, grab it and move it. I can't move up and down, but I can move side to side. And the reason is the sketch relation that I added to the origin was for the point to and the line. And that's not going to fully define this. So what I need to do is I need to select a point and select the origin point. I have, by holding Control down, I can select both points. I have them populated here in my property manager, and I can select coincident. Now you can see all the entities turn black. It shows down here as fully defined, and I can select yes. Still in Sketch, I'm going to select Features, Extrude, and it's 6 inches. For this one, I'm going to do a mid-plane. This is commonly used. I think on this one it actually doesn't matter that much, but in the future projects, and most designers will use mid-plane because you can reference off of the center of the part off of a default plane when you use the mid-plane option. So it's going to be 6 inches. That'll be 3 inches on each side. I'm going to say yes. This looks pretty good. This is what I'm looking for. Now, sketch again. Sketch, sketch. And it gives me 2 options here. I'm going to select now. I have to select a face. I'm going to select this face. And you can see you can see through, basically. It's transparent selection. I'm going to select features. No, not features. I'm sorry. Sketch again. And I'm going to select the line function. I'm going to go to here. And there's a little trick. If you take your mouse out and bring it back, it converts into an arc function. And I can use the inference lines. And once you select the endpoint of the arc, it converts back to a line function. I know I went kind of fast on that, so I'll show that again. When I make this doorway, I've got to make sure I do this bottom line. And it might be hard to tell in that direction, but with the shading. But because it's a closed contour, you can see it's shaded a little bit darker. But if it's not shaded darker for you, you might not have this bottom line. The other thing that is automatic in my sketch is you can see that these endpoints are actually coincident with this bottom edge. That's pretty important. You want these points tangent to the arc. You want the lines vertical. This one's super easy. The only thing I need to do now is smart dimension here. I don't even know what this is. I'm going to say 1.5. No, that's not right. Let's say 0.75. That's not right either. It's got to be 1. 1 radius. Okay. And I'm going to dimension. This is so easy because you dimension from one edge to here to it's actually 3, right, to get it in the middle. Yeah. And then the dimension Very important that you dimension this one correctly. I'm going to select the arc and this top edge, and I think this one was 2.25. But make sure you do it how it's dimensioned. Okay, this one might not matter because it's on either side. It certainly would matter if you were going to manufacture this or inspect this. You would be inspecting off the side off the edge it's dimensioned off of. But for purposes of design, this might not be an issue. It'll still render correctly. This one will not. So make sure you get that correct. It does show now here fully defined. And before I go any further, I'm actually going to go through and add, make sure you do this, add your name under, show you again real quick. Author is your last name, first initial, and then the title is Extrusion Options. And then should have saved the file, but I'll finish the extrusion and then I'll save the file again. Because it's probably going to kick me out of the sketch. Well, let's see if it does. I'm going to do a file save as, and on my desktop I'm going to make this my last name. Use your last name, first initial, Extrusion Options, whatever the project name is. I don't need to write the file extension. It will be put on there automatically. I'm going to just save this on my desktop. And now that I'm in a fully defined sketch here, I'm going to go Features, Extrude. And this, actually the default is 6 inches, but for the direction, you can select up to surface and then select this surface. You can play around with the directions blind. Through all, I think, would also work for this. Up to vertex would be a line, an edge, instead of a surface, so that also would be correct. So this looks good. Now, the last piece of the puzzle for this project is pretty simple. We're not starting from a sketch, but let's go back and look. You can see I have my sketch 1 is my cityscape that I drew and extruded mid-plane, and this is the extrusion of that, and then I have, of course, the doorway that I've extruded. So from here, I'm going to do a window select, and there's a little there's some pre-selection you can do, and I can kind of show you a little bit of the difference of that. But if I go to the view up here, I can go to the front view, normal. This puts the front view normal to your screen, so we call this normal 2. And if you noticed, if I drag upper left to bottom right, it shows blue, and it will select everything in that box. If I select bottom right to upper left, it shows green. Do you see that? And it will only select what is completely in the box. Now, the one thing about I did this as pre-selection, and it doesn't show, it won't select the edges on the other side. So sometimes you can use pre-selection when you're in Sketch, but when you're in graphics mode like this and we're doing a feature, you actually want to. I'm going to go back through and go to our front view. When you're in graphics mode, I would not use pre-selection unless in very limited circumstances. So I'm going to select the fillet option first. And then this is pretty small. Sometimes if this number value is populated too large, it won't give you a good preview. But now that I'm in the fillet and I have my property manager open, I'm not pre-selecting. I've actually selected the feature first. So now if I window select, it will, I think it selects either way. and it's going to preview, and it's going to select the stuff on the backside that you can't see. So the preview is actually pretty good. I'm not sure what the value is, but I'm going to use this value. Now I'm going to actually, I'll get out of it, and I'm going to go back to, and let's see in the fillet if the bottom left to upper right also works. So you can see that only selected what was in the box. It didn't select these 4 edges, okay? If I do the same thing, I'm going to escape again. I'm going to go to this front view. If I do upper left to bottom right, oh, and I'm going to go to this, shoot, let's see, which one? Actually, it would be this front one, because it's this select part isn't even in the box. So if I select here, oh, it didn't select this one either. Oh, it kicked me out of Sketch. Let me try that again. Maybe I wasn't in Sketch. I thought I was. In fillet, or I wasn't in the feature. I'm sorry. Let's try, go to back to point 1 and do a window select to here. Yeah, it selected this edge here. Kind of didn't, actually. That worked a little bit wonky. I think it selected this edge because it was tangent to this edge. But for this assignment, relatively easy. You can play around with that selection box a little more over the course of the semester. But for this assignment, you can just select the fillet option, window select everything, and then I want to say this is 0.032. That's probably not right. It's something like 0.125. I think that's correct. Yeah, and one of the things that it's really quick to grade on this assignment is see how the fillets right here are tangent at this point. I did it based on what I knew of the drawing, even though I didn't have the drawing in front of me. And based on the correct fillet size, this is what it should look like. This point should be tangent on that second rib sticking up. So this is great. I'm going to go File, Save. I'm going to go into Canvas, and this is what you'll be submitting, and hopefully this is what I'll be grading here from you in a few days. I am going to extend this assignment a few days. I got this out a little bit late, I think at least a day late, and I apologize for that. And I'll get out the other assignments up early in the coming weeks. Thank you.